Okay, so welcome back to day two of this little mini series on the big four objections. The objections that can and do stop you and I, women like us in senior leadership, women who are waking up to the realization that we are called to be more, do more, say more, create more, and make a bigger mark, make a bigger dent and impact in our organizations, in our industries, in our field, but find that we're not stepping into that fully. We're not running towards it. Actually, we're pulling back. And I get curious about that because my work is all about supporting women like us. And so I get curious about what it is that's holding us back. And that's why I'm making this series, because there are four big objections that I see standing in our way. And I know that when women are born to make a significant difference, when women are born to impact their industry and their field, at such a time as this, we can do without those things standing in our way, right? So, yesterday, the objection that we looked at was the intimidation of the big, unlofty, unrealistic vision. If you didn't watch that video, then no problem at all. You just need to go back and watch it. These are in no particular order, so you can catch them on the fly. Okay, so go and watch that when we're done. You can find it in the playlist on my YouTube. But today's video is about objection number two. And objection number two is busyness. Busyness. We are really busy, aren't we? As women in senior leadership, we are busy. We've got busy work lives, we've got busy home lives. Because of the kind of leader that we are, we've probably got things going on in the community. We're everything to everybody, right? We're busy and bandwidth is really low. We've got our spirit saying yes to being more in leadership, but our schedule is actually saying no. We're asking ourselves, how the heck am I going to fit anything else into my day, my week, my month? I don't have any bandwidth. I don't have any time. And I've heard this over and over again. And what's really being said, because you know that I love to go beneath what's being said in my coaching and my mentoring and my leading. That's where we hang out behind what's being said. And what I realize is that when people are telling me that they're too busy to pursue their own becoming, to pursue who they're being called to be, what they're really saying is, Dion, my plate is full. I can't see how I can make space for this development journey. The more that I'm being called to feels like an actual threat, a threat to my current stability. Like, that where I am right now, I get it, but like, I don't know what will happen if I take on any more. If I say yes to this, I might drop something. If I say yes to this, I might even drop myself. Like, there is no more room, there is no more bandwidth, right? And what I've learned is that when busyness is our obstruction, when busyness is our objection, it's because we struggle to give ourselves permission to really prioritize ourselves. It feels almost safer and kinder, more doable to keep things the way that they are, to keep the status quo. So if this is you and you identify with this objection of just being too busy to take anything else on, there are some things that I want you to know. I know that you're maxed out. I know that you've got meetings and teams and targets and obligations, and you're spinning a million one plates. And I know that if it feels like this, then it can feel like the worst time in the world for you to be thinking about taking on anything else. But here's the thing, you weren't born to spin plates. You're not called to spin plates. You're called to set the tone. You're called to influence and to impact. I want you to think about that for a minute. What if the answer to your overload and your busyness isn't just to hunker down and press through and push on, but instead to say yes to the evolution journey that's beckoning you, say yes to the growth journey that your soul's quietly longing for. How about if pressing into the call is the answer to that hamster wheel, that scurrying around like a headless chicken. I know I'm mixing metaphors, it's a terrible habit of mine. But what if it was pressing into the call was the answer to overextending yourself? You see, the call to more isn't a call to more hustle. It's an invitation to lead differently. It's to lead from your power rather than trying to lead from a place of performance. It's an invitation to lead from your sovereign strategy rather than your slave girl survival mechanisms. You see, it is a real call for elevation, ascension. What if stepping into your next chapter was actually going to bring you relief? Was actually going to be not more pressure, not more demand, but greater ease, not more burden? What if it allowed you to show up more fully, more clear, with more grace, more command, more influence, and less effort? Think about that. I know that it's possible, and I've learned this the long, hard way. Throughout my career and my leadership journey, throughout my life growing up, then I've really experienced the pressure to perform and to meet expectations and to be a cultural fit and to be a corporate fit and to get it all done, right? And to it's compelled me into hustle mode and performance for acceptance and doing all the things, going on courses, getting another certificate, doing this, doing that, doing all the things to win business and to be acceptable and to be accepted. And at several points along my professional path, I was on a fast track to burnout. I was on a fast track to burnout, breaking down, and my performance suffered. I was, functioning below, even when I was winning awards and receiving accolades and applause. I wasn't doing so well. I wasn't doing so well in all of that. And I've seen how the shift from performance and being performance driven to power mastery and embodying what I call my highness has made all the difference. It's a powerful and sophisticated way to increase your capacity. That leading in this new higher way actually increases your capacity to lead, actually increases your capacity to take on more, to be different. And this is not just true for me, it's true for the women that I work with. I'm thinking about Abby. I'll call her Abby for now. It's not a real name, but I'll call her Abby for now. Abby was a civil servant and she was passionate about public service in her nation. She really was a prolific public servant and she came really close to the verge of burnout, and that's when I met her. She was physically worn out, she was mentally exhausted, and she was deeply unfulfilled, and she describes that people were putting her in a box. She said she felt constrained by her work life, but actually in the coaching, as we managed to unpack it all, we got to see how she was off the charts busy trying to reinforce those boxes, trying to prove how worthy she was, trying to justify her holding that level of leadership, trying to prove that she was the woman for the job. And I'm thinking about another woman, Hannah. Of course, that's not her real name, but I'll call her Hannah for now, who actually came to me while she was still convalescing from a really serious heart attack and a cardiac event. She was dreading going back. She'd been off work for months and it was nearly time for her to go back, and she was having sleepless nights about the thought of going back to the grind. She loved her work, but and also she really believed in the mission and she cared deeply about leading change. She had ideas for the change that she wanted to see in her space, but she really felt forced to admit that she could no longer work the way that she had been working. She couldn't keep pushing through. She just couldn't keep on putting her shoulder to the plow and getting on with it. That's what caused the illness in the first place. And she realized that she needed to find a new way. She needed to find a different way to be. And it wasn't just a nice wish that she had to find this different way. It was actually a matter of life and death for Hannah. So you see, both of these ladies and very many more ladies just like them have discovered that busyness and struggle were a response to their lower nature. Their inner little leader. I like to say that your inner little leader with the disempowered thinking was leading and running the show. It was their little leader, the one that thought that she had to prove her way and prove her worth, prove to everyone that she deserved a seat at the table. It was this leader that was leading the busy movement, right? The force to have it all done and to do it all well and to take it all on. And through our time together, these women and others like them discovered what I've discovered on my own busyness journey. And what I want you to discover today, what I want you to call truth today. The truth is that you're not too busy for the call on your life. You can't be too busy for the call on your life. Fulfilling this call, this inner call that you feel compelling you to step into more of who you're called to be as a leader. That's too important. It's part of what it really means for you to live your life well, to have a life at the end of your days, to have your life said to be a life well lived. Depends on how you make room for what you're being called into. It's time to stop being too busy. You're just too important. This work that you're being called to, this level that you're being called to, this new expression that you're being called to is way too important to be busy for. So what I've learned is that when you are operating from your level of highness, when you let lower leader drop the reins and you step into your highness, you embody your power, you own your authority, you express your truer voice, then you become your number one priority, because you know that when you are aligned, when your crown's firmly on your head, when you're squared up and you're in alignment with who you're here to be, then it's good for everyone. It's good for the organization, the industry, your field, the people that you lead, and it's good for you. It's good for the people connected to you. So here's my message for you today. Don't let busyness be the reason that you miss out on your breakthrough. Sometimes you have got to let go of what's in your hands so that you can lay hold of what could be in your hands, what could be yours. So if you're sensing that busyness is the objection that is operating for you, then I really want you to take some time to consider these 5 questions that I have for you. They are 5 questions that I have asked myself over the years. They have powerfully transitioned things for me, and I really want you to see how I want to hear from you about what happens as you take these 5 questions seriously, okay? So the first one is, what is truly nourishing you right now in your leadership, and what is depleting you? What's nourishing you and what is depleting you? Even if it looks like it's really a critical part of your role, or it is too important to let go, or other people expect this of you, doesn't matter. When you're asking yourself this question, I want you to be honest and look at your schedule and then ask yourself, what is nourishing me and what is depleting me? That's the first one. The second question is, what am I busy with that's actually beneath the level that I'm being called to now? What am I busy with that's actually beneath the level that I'm being called to now? I mean, as I'm reading these questions out to you, so I'm just thinking of some of the women and some of the stories that I've heard over the years. Like, just senior women being called to more, doing menial things, doing mundane things, doing things that actually don't move the needle on where you're being called to. So really take a look at that one. The third one, where am I holding on to responsibilities that no longer require my leadership? Again, I can think of all the times that I've asked myself this question and seen how I've fallen back into doing things that just are not really, that are just taking up space in my schedule instead of freeing me to soar into my destiny. Think about that. Okay, and this is the next question. What might become possible if you said yes to your evolution instead of overextension? What might become possible if you said yes to this evolution that's calling you on instead of this overextension? That's the next question. And then the final question that I want you to, and I will put these in the notes, but the next question that I want you to ask yourself is, are you staying busy? I'm wincing because I know of other questions that I've asked myself before. When I've asked myself this question before, how um it unstitched quite a lot of things. But are you staying busy to avoid the bigness of the call that you know is yours? Are you staying busy to avoid the bigness of the call that you know is yours? I mean, that one really ties into yesterday's objection of intimidation about the big vision and the big call. So just see how they fit together for you. The first question, what's nourishing you and what's depleting you? Second question, what am I busy with that's actually beneath the level that I'm being called to now? The next question is, where am I holding on to responsibilities that no longer require my leadership? And the next question, where or what might become possible? What might become possible if I say yes to my evolution instead of my overextension? And then the next one, am I staying busy to avoid the bigness of what I know I'm being called to? I really want you to spend some time with these questions. I really want you today to be the last day that busyness is an excuse as to why you can't pursue all that you're being called to pursue, that you can't become all that you're being called to become. It's time for you. Your voice is important. The work of your life is going to change something important. So let's get over these objections, and I'll see you tomorrow with objection number 3, okay? Bye.